wants to go 6 hours to the airport earlier. I've been trying to convince him too, but he wants to go very early.
He just needs to break the phone something, so because of the blocking But you going to sit or? No. Yes. Now I can see the screen. You can your
Hello. Okay, good evening everyone and welcome to WSO Players Workshop here at the Indian Squash Academy. Thank you all for coming, and it's good to see you all are in big numbers, and we are streaming live as well, so hope that many of our squash players follow this program. Alright, so we are here today to discuss refereeing, players and decision making. So with us, so we've been doing this program thanks to HCL who has supported us amongst a lot of our activities of squash tournaments, the selection trials, and now for the first time we are doing a referees workshop where we have got two assessors from the World Squash Officiating. We have got Marko from Slovenia and Srikanth from India. Both are WSO level 4 assessors and referees who have refereed the best in the world. So they are going to go and give you an introduction to what the new changes are in refereeing. Players need to be aware of this. Parents also very important that you all are aware, so you all know what is happening and what's the new trend in refereeing, which is going to be across the world. So thank you both to Marko, who has traveled 30 hours to be with us, and Srikanth, who has traveled 5 hours to be with us here today. I will leave this to them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cyrus, for this lovely introduction. At least I don't have to introduce myself. So I have to say I'm really pleased that you came in such large numbers, and I believe this is the first workshop that actually involves players, coaches, parents, and referees. And rightfully so, because we're all part of one and the same squash community, and we are all striving for the same goal: free-flowing, entertaining game of squash, which everybody's going to enjoy. The losing player slightly less, of course, but the spectator should nevertheless. So, World Squash Officiating has started changes in the way the game of squash is refereed. There is a reason to all of these changes, but we're coming to that later on. The thing is, they're not changing the rules. They're just changing the way the rules are applied. And it's proven to be really good thing, because the number of decisions are dropping. In the men's game, I think the average number in a professional men's match is 14 decisions per match, even less for ladies matches. Comparing that to 30 odd decisions we had a couple of years ago, that's a massive improvement. So, I'm going to walk you through the changes as they have been put into place by the WSO. They're called WSO directives. Whoever has visited WSO website can find them there. There's a lot more substance to them than what you're going to see, because they go into further detail, but let's just start with what we've got in our slideshow. So there have been 3 WSO directives so far. They did the first one in August 23, and they're aimed to clarify the rules of squash and their interpretation applicable to the professional game. These directives will be published as and when required. When a new issue arises, the directives will cover that. So these are all the topics covered in WSO directives, and the way these topics are refereed has significantly changed. First is the injury, then is the interference, player simulation, time wasting and speed of play, foul usage, player dissent, code of conduct, and footfalls. So if we just go quickly through these chapters, so to speak, what does that entail? First is the injury. As before, injury must be genuine, but now the emphasis is that a player can only get injury time at the moment the injury happens. If they proceed playing for just a point further and then decide that they are injured and they need recovery time, that can no longer happen. That's automatically considered to be a pre-existing injury, and they can only concede the game and take the break between games. And if the injury happens in the final rally of the game, they don't get 2 minutes plus 3 minutes for self-inflicted injury. They only get the 3 minutes altogether. Any questions in that? Huh? Didn't think so. It's pretty self-explanatory. So that's the change in refereeing an injury situation. Next would be the interference, and these are all the topics in the interference chapter which are covered with the directives. First is the reasonable follow-through, then it's the unobstructed direct access to the ball, the space to make a reasonable swing at the ball, and the freedom to strike the ball to any part of the front wall, meaning player must be entitled to both long line and the cross court. This might sound a little complicated. It's let's say it's technical referee talk, but it's in the end, it's going to make sense. So, what is a reasonable follow-through? How has that been changed with the directives? The point is, the players cannot alter their technique, make their follow-through bigger in order to take more space on the board, and both playing and non-playing guard must soften after the shot has been made, allowing the opponent to pass through smoothly, meaning you cannot hit the ball and hold your arm there for the opponent to be prevented from moving into their own shot. All clear? Any questions?
You're clear on that? Because that happens more often. When you finish a shot, that's what softening the arms is. When you finish a shot, you need to let the other player pass through. Play the shot, hold the arm tight. You need to soften so that the other player goes in. Clear on that? So mostly on the, like once you follow through, then it has to soften to let the other player. It happens when mostly in the front, left, front, right, and you play, hold your racket like that, stiff, the other player is hindered in going to the ball. So that you need to soften down to let the other player. That's the main directive in this interface.
Thank you. Next, it's the unobstructed direct access to the ball. As I said, sounds complicated, but it's not. You must allow your opponent to get to the ball and to play it. And the directives address poor movement. So poor movement is any movement aimed to prevent the opponent from having that direct access. This movement will be dealt by the referees using the code of conduct, starting with the warning, then going on to conduct stroke, game, match, whatever is needed to prevent the unfair practice that the player might be using on court. That includes trailing leg, blocking, leaving your hip in the way. All of that is unacceptable.
Any examples you have seen during the course of the week on this? Feel free. You have seen a lot of them. Anybody seen front jump, drop, step forward? There's a drop, forward movement, making the other player go around. That's a drop. That is a drop. That comes under this. Or play a shot, slight movement to the right. It's making the other player. If you play a good drop and you do this, you make the other player go all the way around. It's a winner for you. So these things will be, and it will be a straightaway connect. Depending on the gravity of that. So it can be a connect stroke straight. You want to ignore this. This might want you. Might give you a connect one. But it can be a connect four. Drop off. Very, very clear. Because this happens. Right left, you have seen a lot of matches here. Drop and then forward. Please do it.
We're pointing at something,
Do
right?
not do that. Please be watching. Then be a connect.
Okay, this movement actually fall into dangerous play or unnecessary physical contact. That's why they can easily be sanctioned by the code of conduct. Dangerous play relates to any excessive movement, recklessly striking, exaggerating contact, pushing or otherwise manhandling the opponent. And unnecessary physical contact is also pushing the opponent, subtle moves which impede the free movement and stability, subtle contact, as Srikanth just explained, leaving your hip in the way. That's unnecessary physical contact. As you see, the directives don't change the rules. They're just the directives on how to apply them properly. And as I said, all with the same goal in mind: free-flowing, watchable game of squash. You've all watched squash on television, I'm sure, and if there has been 50 stoppages, you've changed channel. Because nobody wants to see that. It's just boring in the end, unfortunately.
Another example here is a player plays a shot deep. Player playing a shot deep to the back. You would have seen players initially moving forward, going to the other player's body, and then going to the ball. That is unnecessary critical movement, trying to create a interference situation, which is not at all needed. Because the ball is deep, we expect you to take the line behind and go play the ball. Instead, you would have seen players going in deliberately into the other player's body and then going to the ball. We will stop if it is deemed excessive contact. We'll stop the rally, award a stroke to the other player. So you need to be careful, because all of you are graduating into the next level of play. Hopefully, most of you will be playing the PSAs. You need to be aware of this. Anything which is unnatural will be penalized.
As Srikanth said, most of you will be playing the PSA, and playing accordingly to these directives is going to make your lives easier. Next, it's the time wasting and speed of play. Players must be ready by the call of the score. The referees are going to delay it slightly so that you get enough time between rallies. And the usual time between rallies is anywhere between 10 to 12 seconds. According to the directives, anything above the 15 seconds between the end of the previous rally and beginning of the next one is simply too much. Taking more time than that allows a player to take a rest, have a break, have a breather, and actually get himself back into the match. So referees are not going to allow that because that's gaining unfair advantage. Their opponents have been doing their best to get them tired, so the referee must not allow that extra time to ruin the efforts.
You would have seen this. This would have happened during the course of this week. Excessive ball bouncing. Yes. Come on, answer. Has there been any excessive ball bouncing? No? Okay. Prolonged discussion? Yes. Well, was there any prolonged discussion during the course of the week? Yes. Don't nod your head. No. There was. Unnecessary. Did you see that movement? When there was nothing wrong with the other player, did you see the movement? That will be a code of conduct against you for simulating and influencing the referee going to go the wrong way. When nothing has happened and you say, did you watch the movement? I'll say, conduct warning. Next time you do it, it will be a conduct stroke. When there is nothing happening, you don't have to influence the referee saying that something was wrong on court. That happens, right? Yes, please. No, it's not a right. Yeah. No. That's not right. That's not right. That's not right. The player. That's not correct. Now, if it has happened, that's not correct. A player may be given an explanation if the situation deems that. If it is required. If it is going to be a regulation let, and if the player is going to come to the referee, why is that a let? That's not acceptable. That's not acceptable. When you need to give a directive saying you moved into the player, the better line was behind, it has to be told to the player. No, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. No, I'm watching. No, there is no movement. He can only say that. I'm watching. And if there's going to be anything wrong, I'll fix it. Correct, agree. And you can also see the players saying, you're watching, but what are you doing? In the seniors. Not here. I'm talking about seniors, and that's stop now. I'm watching is okay. So prolonged unnecessary discussion. Once I've given you an explanation, we expect you to continue play. That is what the meaning is. Once I made my decision, given my explanation, is there a possibility of changing? No. The discussion is only going to disrupt the flow of the game. That is not acceptable. So once a decision is made, an explanation is given, you need to continue play. Whether you accepted the decision and explanation is not the question. It might be even wrong, but we need to continue play. So there shall not be unnecessary discussion. That's the prolonged discussion.
Okay, as you have seen, there's ever since COVID, there are towels on court to prevent players from wiping their hands against the walls and to cut down on the sweat on the floor. So whenever there are towels on court, the directive on the use of the towel is that the use is permitted at the discretion of the referee, and the players are supposed to ask for permission to use them. And if possible, both should be using them at the same time, and the referees are going to encourage the other referee, the other as in the non-asking player, to use the towel as well, and they're encouraged to use the towel every time that the court service is on court. Yes, if the referees don't allow you to keep the towels, that's because there's no towel boxes. there should be towel boxes provided. That's the only problem.
Our boxes are there. We are happy to have it. It's up to the organizers to the team to get our box. And all the goal boxes strictly not open. Because it's such a source that man being very fast. And it is like one player wants to cover one for another player doesn't want that. It is going to be a distraction. It is a distraction. Which way to go. It is a distraction. All the three, all the players. So inside a box, they are happy to have it. And it is for the organization.
And now we're down to the most important topic of the directives, which is players' dissent. That's one of the major issues WSO is trying to deal with. And the thing is, this is the list of what is actually not acceptable on court. First thing is that the players must address referees with politely and respectfully. Aggressive and shouting, aggressive demeanor, and confrontation body language are unacceptable, will be dealt with by the code of conduct. As Srikanth said earlier, players can ask for a decision and not suggest one. Meaning, if you ask for a decision, you say, "Let please." You cannot go, "Oh, that's a stroke." Right? You cannot make a referee's decision instead of the ref. You ask for one, you get one, and that's the end of it. Also, regarding the explanations, players can ask for one, but are not automatically entitled to one. Referee is going to give his explanation when that makes sense. As the gentleman said in the back, absolutely. If it makes sense for a player to get the rationale of the referee should give that decision. But if that happens each and every decision, then it stops making sense. That's where it needs to stop. Regarding the code of conduct, referees in complete control of that. And it's going to be enforced whenever the players behave in a manner that is considered unfair, dangerous, abusive, offensive, or detrimental to the sport. And such demeanor, such behavior needs to be penalized, even if it requires stopping play. So a referee can actually stop the rally, mid-rally, award a conduct stroke if something unacceptable happens on court, like to push off an opponent or block, even if it's accepted by the opponent. Any such actions can be dealt with, even if there is no decision asked for by the players.
Got it? Yes.
I have a question for the previous director.
Yeah.
What if the fans or like the sporting team tries to influence the referee's decision?
Excellent question. I wanted to say that. Go ahead. Please ask the question.
What if the coaching team of the player tries to influence the referee by like saying, "Come on"?
It's an excellent question which mostly happens in the junior circuit. Because it happens so frequently in the junior circuit. In the seniors it doesn't happen. In the PSA we don't have such problems. But in the junior circuit it happens almost daily, where the coaches or parents turn, look at the referee, the ball's down, ball's good. All this comes under code of conduct. The referee has to be sharp enough to stop that. Tell them it will be a code of conduct to your player. If it is not followed, ensure, again you repeat it, we'll have that person removed from the area during the match. He will not be permitted to be seated if there is a repeated offense. So that happens in the junior circuit very much, and we all know that. Everybody will have undergone that. That's why he's undergone that trouble from somebody else. So that's why he's asking the question. Okay, what's your name? What's your name? Drew.
Yeah.
Drew what? Drew Joy. Yeah, excellent question. It's a learning for everybody. Coaches and parents have to be like ensure that they do not influence the referee. That also comes under influencing the referee. It does influence the referee when everybody gets seated in the front. Raise your hand. That definitely the referee is going to get influenced unless it's really strong and solid. But creates a doubt in the referee's mind, which is wrong, which is not fair.
And the last topic covered by the directives are the footfalls. Actually, this is a mistake that's been going on for years. The referees simply neglected calling them. It was deemed unnecessary, but footfall is like an outfall. If your foot is touching any boundary of the service box, it's an out, basically, called footfall. So, moving forward, referees will be strict in observing the calling of footfalls during every serve. I don't suppose there's any question of this, right? Okay, and as I said in the beginning, why? What's the main reason for the directives to be put in place in the first place? As I said, that's to achieve a more free-flowing game of squash, entertaining, good to watch. And if it's good to watch, it's better for TV broadcast, which is especially important in the light of the upcoming Olympics. You might have heard the story, but NBC, one of the major US television networks, came to watch the matches at Tournament of Champions in the Grand Station in New York City. And the official memo that PSA got from the NBC was that as long as there is a discussion between the referee and the player in such poor manner, such aggressive manner, disrespectful, there's no way squash is going to be broadcast on any American television. So, based on that message, PSA actually decided that they have to do something about it. PSA in cooperation with WSO, because Olympics are going to be in the US. Of course, we want the squash to be on the television program. So, unless we do something about that, it's just not going to happen. And I think we can all just benefit from it. Not just the television, but even us enjoying the game of squash without unnecessary stoppages. Okay, so this covers the WSO directives and the way squash is actually refereed nowadays. Any more questions on the directives? Nobody?
How many of you have gone into the WSO website? Parents too. I would encourage the parents and coaches to get into the WSO website and the WSO website. How many of us? But I want all of you to go into it and look at all the directives. It's all available in detail. It's a good read. It's a good read for all of you who being squash players and avid watchers of PSA squash. You need to go through the directives. Then you'll understand and enjoy the sport. Why the decision is being made, and then you'll definitely know. Because there is a gap between the current line of thinking at the top and the way the squash is played at the lower levels. We need to bridge that, and WSO is trying to do that. So I would encourage all of you to go into the WSO website, read all the directives, and read the materials available there. You've got examples there, which is a good read. And end of this one, Marko will be suggesting with regards to player enrolling in the WSO. So he'll be speaking on the topic, which will be at the end of this session.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda for tonight's workshop are the common causes of interference on the squash court. Just to get the idea why stoppages actually happen in the first place.
Srikanth.
So the first one is missing targets. That's what happens when a player doesn't actually put the shot where they intended, and we get the interference. As you can see, Farah in this case obviously missed his target. He played the drop shot way deeper than intended. So he found himself in the way, going in the way of Elias's line to the ball. Had he hit his target the way he wanted to, a lot shorter, that would have been a simple no lap. But ball being deep as it is, it's a clear lap because Elias has got nowhere to go but straight through fire.
What else did you watch in that video? With regards to the directives, did anybody see anything wrong in that video? Anybody, please. Did you see anything wrong in that clip which was just not played?
I'm not sure, but I think after playing the drop, Farah stepped back into Elias's hands and took a step back.
Okay.
I think.
So what was the decision on that?
So I think he should have cleared better. I think he should have cleared better. And if he had cleared better, would have been no red like you said. But because he didn't clear, that's why he was there.
Understood. There was one more thing. Yes, please.
I think Elias pushed them way more than needed to.
No. This, with regards to Elias, I'm giving you a clue. Because the offender was Elias.
He raised his hand before the referee got up.
And what did he do with his hand?
He was just moving.
He said this,
So, yeah.
which is not acceptable. Which is not acceptable. You've got to be sharp to observe all this. Which is not acceptable.
The way you appeal is red piece. But the moment he won, he is influencing the referee saying it's courteous pro. So you're sowing the seeds of doubt in the referee's mind, which is an unfair practice, unsportsmanlike conduct. So immediately we give a conduct warning. The decision will be given as that Mr. Elias, I do not want to influence the decision. It will be a conduct warning. It's a conduct warning this time, next time it will be a conduct warning. So it happens, not only at the junior level, it happens at the highest level.
Perfectly right, it does happen at the highest level as well. So, that was a short clip. What happens when the player miss their target? When the players miss their targets? Had a shot, no interference. Next clip is going to be about players not making every effort to provide access. Excellent.
Hey! Hey! Oh. I'm putting you as a referee.
So what did you think about that clearance? Beautiful, right?
So what's your decision, Shivan, on that? Give him the mic.
You give a leg, okay? Anybody else got a better decision? Because this one is clearly wrong.
True.
Conduct stroke to the Supreme. Perfectly right.
For what?
This is simply an intentional block.
This is the hip check where he has made the other player go all the way around. And players playing at that level, the shots are going to be, every shot is going to be a winning shot. You make them go that extra a couple of inches around, the other player loses the point. That's what he has done. And look at his expression. So he says this, the referee is, oh, that's a winning shot. Because he's influenced. This happens.
So this is actually slightly worse than just not providing access, right? This has been covered in the directive under unnecessary physical contact, right? Maybe even dangerous play, because you're looking way out of the line, co-ends on the floor, must be a contact stroke.
That's a great point. It also endangers the other player in getting hurt. What if ball was hurt because of that? So it's endangering. So it will be considered in the code of conduct. Conduct stroke for blocking and also a conduct stroke for dangerous.
What was the final decision given for this scenario?
You mean in this match? I don't know. I got no idea. It's just a clip
What's your
taken as an
decision?
example.
Conduct. You can also go stroke and a connection if it happens again. It will be your double point.
Okay, the next common cause for interference in a squash court is players taking the wrong line to get to the ball. Oh yeah, by the way, these lines that are on the court are actually 1 meter apart, just to get the idea of how much room there actually is on court. I just need to remind this to the first four players. Okay, let's just focus on this example, right? You're going to see where exactly the Suki is going to move and where the striking point for the ball is. It's going straight to the side, right? And that's where the second bounce of the ball is as well.
Where was the first bounce? Where was the first bounce? Up. So, which is the line basically should have taken in front, line in front. How can you play a ball in the second bounce? You lose a point if you play it's not up. How can you play that? No, it's not easy. You're not a Superman. It has to be midway between the first bounce and the second bounce. That's where the striking point is. After the first bounce, you hit the ball. You can keep on arguing like, why cannot play this? And every ball will be a stroke. They'll say, I'll play it here. But there's an etiquette to play the ball. Line in front, go up there. First bounce is somewhere here. There's the bounce. You said a stroke.
So the decision for this should be no line.
Clear? Clear. This is the line of thinking, the current line of thinking at the highest level of play, which will be the norm for you. Depends on how short the ball is. The ball was short. So the ball has to be, first bounce is, you are going to play the ball after the first bounce, not after the second bounce. Yazuki has gone to the player rather than to the ball. So these things, all these shots will be in no lets if you do that.
Next one is slightly more complicated, and that's holding the striker in. Because the player is allowed direct access, unobstructed access to the ball, yes. But you cannot hold your opponent in without allowing him actually to move out of the way. There's going to be a couple of quick examples and then we'll get to see the longer clip of an example. You have all experienced such interference on the squash court, I suppose, right? Okay, so let's focus on this one. One plays a shot, and the side is standing straight behind him, not allowing him to move an inch away from the ball, which is unacceptable.
You see that now? What's being done? WSO has played the shot, is making an effort to clear. What's being done? Holding the other player to the ball. Which is not right. You need to let the player clear. This happens, when the juniors happens. You need to go to the ball. Look for the ball, go to the ball and play the ball. This is, you're creating an interference, which is not fair. And the game can be more flowing by going around each other and playing the ball. So what Megan has done is created an interference by letting the other player not clear. So hands on the back. You saw there should be one against Moment. He had his hand like that.
So as you can see, the sword would have cleared easily. That's why it's an all out, because
Make it just gone around, you would have been able to play the rally would have continued. Agree? All of you agree on that? See that? Is that fair? You need to let the other player clear. Holding the player, that's holding the player. This is what shot. This will be already on the moment. Moment is not completed a shot. It's technically a stroke to moment. Because it's preventing moment from because of this early movement by this will be into the other player. So it will be a moment. See how much effort moment is making to get out of the way. It's ready to
speaking of which, okay. Let's see the next one. So this is about clearing your shot, right? And it's providing, again, the complicated definition, right? Unobstructed direct access to the ball. This is what Elias has not provided in this case. He just simply plays his shot and stands up, makes himself big. There's no line to the ball. Ball might seem difficult, well, not for a moment.
what's the nature of that? Yeah.
What should Elias have done? From where?
Okay, if Elias asks the referee, well, what should I do? The referee is not a coach. We're not going to teach him there and then how to clear. You chose the shot. So you have to know how you're going to clear that shot as well. If you cannot clear it, choose a different shot. Simple as that.
It was a wrong choice of shot.
Wrong choice. And that
Because he was there, the other player was right behind. He's played a drop. Definitely the player is going to go for it. And you're standing on your shot. But we will not say that. As referees, we will not be saying you have chosen a wrong shot. That's coaching. You need to clear your shot. That will be the explanation.
Okay, next common cause for interference is trouble in the backcourt. We have all done circling exercise, hitting long lines, right? Going back to the tee, back into the back corner, hitting the long line, up to the tee and back. It's all nice as long as the players observe the basic etiquette on court of circling around each other. The moment that stops, we have interference. Let's see this case. This must have been a difficult match to have. There's a lot of cases from this match. You see, as long as they go around each other, it's all fine. Ball goes back, plays a long line, moves up to the tee, the super is doing the same. As long as they go up to the tee, there's enough room for both.
Keep watching both. How nicely they go around.
No problems, right? They know how to do it. Until somebody decides not to. We got it on clip. This is the right one. Just observe what happens as soon as the super stays further down at the back of the court. It doesn't move up to the tee, and the problem is there.
Do you get that? Did you understand that? I know it's not easy, but try to understand. They've been going all along, they've been going around each other and playing the ball. Up and around, up and around. Suddenly, Dezuki doesn't go. Should have gone there, ball would have cleared. If Dezuki had gone there, ball would have cleared. Dezuki would have gone get the ball. Instead, what does Dezuki do? Stay close to the ball, holds him to the ball, appealing for a let go stroke, whatever they're looking for. That's not right. And this happens in the back. Back left happens a lot, even at your level. You need to go up and around. How do you play your normal drills? How do you play the drills? You go around each other and play the drill, right? When you're playing the rallies from the line. That should be the same etiquette when you play. Same etiquette during the match. Yeah.
Now, if I feel I want to go back and pick the ball back and play it right, why would I go there for a volley in front and then come? I mean, like go around and come. I would prefer to take the shortest route back.
That's what has been told the players. It is the etiquette of going up and around. All the PSA players have been told. It is not. You have to go up and around. Then every ball, I can convert it into a stroke. Every ball, I can do it. I can bring you in my line of play or in my swing on every ball. Is it possible or not? I can. Right? So it's been agreed with the players of the PSA. Etiquette is how do you do a drill? How do you play? If you and I are going to play a drill, down the line drill, do I come on you? That's the etiquette on court to play a rally. Change the shot.
So this, in spite of the fact that it looks like a stroke situation, it's not going to be awarded as a stroke. It's going to be awarded as a yes lap to begin with, plus an instruction by the referee to observe the etiquette of movement. And if it happens again, it's going to be a simple no lap, because the Suki is creating interference where there shouldn't be any.
You agree? Anything on that? play that ball. Next time you can give you a contact. Or a no let. We would not go into a contact when we will say no let. It's still usable.
But does we have enough time to go back to the team?
No, you don't have to go back to the tee. And they got to the tee now. If SUP had gone here, ball would have come this way. I don't expect you to go here. This extra step, instead is step right to the.
He stays way behind the service post. That's how far back he stayed. That's
If
too
this
far.
would be had gone here, ball would have come here, gone. Look how high the ball is. It will come to the back ball, and it's a plaster court. The bounce will be good. You can play well.
Okay, let's move to the next topic, which is decision of the back wall. Somehow it happened that all around the world people started thinking that as soon as the ball touches the back wall, it can only be a yes line. Well, that's not the case, right? It's just a situation as any other. Okay, so I hope you can see what actually happened. The ball was wide all around the court, it ended up behind making and Assad decided to play it. Got a stroke for it, obviously, but we want players to stop, keep each other with the ball. So, but in order to achieve that, referee actually needs to award the stroke when necessary, when there wouldn't be. As you can see, I hope you can see where the ball is, over on top of the screen. Assad hasn't got the cross ball, so that's a fair stroke. Had he stopped in that situation, the referee would have awarded him the stroke. Make him what he get. And everything worked.
But that, yes, that is what you were saying. All of it completely, that's a complete net. Yes, that purely the way the referee sees. If I am there, as we said, one of the keywords. Asal does not have a cross-court option. He doesn't have a cross-court option. Right? You are shutting out a shot in front of me. So when that happens, the referee might. The left could also be there. Left is also okay. But as Marko rightly said, the cross-court option was shut. Yes, please.
I'll be louder. So in this case, if the player who's behind, who's playing the ball, if he chooses not to play, then is it a stroke? Because I have seen it getting awarded a let most of the times.
You're right, absolutely right. That's what he mentioned. It can be a stroke. We at the highest level are awarding strokes on these. If there is, because in this case, there was no cross-court option. There was no cross-court option. You understand? Cross-court option was shut. So, as you rightly said, I might go as net also. Depends on purely on the referee. But it's not right to play the game.
What about the safety net which referees give?
This is the one. This is the point. But Asal, see, it's been happening. Continuous 2-3 balls were wide. So Asal preferred to play the shot, let them know that there's no cross court. So he got a stroke. It's not like, you know. Yes, that is also an option, and that's been an option for so long. Automatic. Anything off the back wall has been a hairstep, always. Only now we see that if it's moving, then we give a hairstep or a stroke based on where if it's in the line of play, it's a stroke. Both the straight rail and the cross court option should be available.
And we've only mentioned yes lead or stroke, but no lead is also a possible decision in this. If a player simply waits for too long, he could have played it before, had every chance, but decides to play and drop the ball for the second time. It's a no lead if there hasn't been any interference actually. Any more questions? No? And these are some examples of swing interference, just to give an idea of what can happen on squash court.
Srikanth.
Okay, so you can see in this example, Mike can actually hits ball with his racket and gets a yes flag for it. Yes flag because the ball doesn't show any consequence of the impact. The ball is flying nicely, it's hit his target. That means the swing was only slightly affected, not prevented. So the yes flag would be awarded in that situation. If you can see the ball deviate substantially, you know immediately that the swing was actually completely prevented, and the stroke is awarded in that situation. This is an example of no swing interference. Right? Nothing there. No interference whatsoever. Should we just play the ball?
Do you agree on that? Agree on that? There was room to swing and she could have played the ball. There's no safety issue on the spot. She has to play the ball.
This is another example of swing interference. Simply cannot play because he hit Marsh on a backswing.
Rodriguez was careful. Saw Suleiman behind, so he wanted to be safe. So he did not play. So it's an S.
Okay, that's what we have prepared for today. I hope you got some useful information out of it. If there's any more questions, please feel free to ask, whatever.
You explained the turning decision once when you turn and then you stop, ask for a left score.
I don't think we have enough time for that. Yeah, no problem, gladly. Turning is a specifics in squash, right? And it means that you've actually lost control of the ball and of the space. And it would be considered too dangerous to play. Turning is defined as the ball passing you on one side of the body and you end up playing it on the other side of the body. If the ball stays, let's say for example, on the right side of my body the whole time and I turn 5 times during that, doesn't matter, it's not turning. For example, I'm standing on next to the left wall, the ball comes to the left wall. I shape the play, I see I cannot play, then I follow the ball all around, it comes out of it from the back wall, that's turning. If I hit the ball in that situation and I hit the opponent, it's a stroke to the opponent. The other way of turning is, in the rules we're going to see it as mental turning, which means the ball does the same thing, but I don't physically turn. So the ball is passing me on the left side of my body, goes behind me to the back wall, ends up on the right side. Consequence is the same. I hit the ball, hit my opponent, again stroke for the opponent because of dangerous play. Okay? Clear? Yes.
What if the shot is hit in such a way that if the opponent doesn't turn, like it's a clear disadvantage situation for them. Like, so they have to turn to hit a shot and the opponent is there, opponent is blocking the shot.
He has turned, and trying to play the ball. Opponent is in line of play. Yes, like
Or not. There is also a possibility of stroke being awarded to the player who turned, because once the turning is finished and I'm there, shaped to play, and the opponent sees that he's actually in trouble, if I do play, knows that there has been turning and deliberately moves into my line of shot, then I get a stroke.
you understood that? Deliberate movement, stop your shot because you are in a winning position to hit that shot. You could have played. That's what. If the opponent is blocked deliberately. In case of turning, only deliberate blocks will be awarded. Not a normal thing. If he is going to see you move in, create a deliberate block. It comes into the line of play, then it's otherwise.
Any more questions? Yes.
So a player, the comments of fans are such as influencing a decision of a player, and the referee gives a conduct warning. And the next alley he commits a different offense such as blocking. Will it be another conduct warning since it's a different offense, or will it be a conduct strike?
See, whether it's a conduct, the conduct
Penalty purely is based on the gravity of the offense. And if it is two different, like if it's going to be a dissent and the next time influencing, they're two different offenses. So it will not be treated with that, it will not be included with the conduct warning earlier given for influencing. Now it's a different blocking, as you said. It will be treated separately. But it need not necessarily be the blocking is so bad, is what does it mean? To be a conduct straight away. But they will, what your question is, they'll be treated as two different offenses. Yes. Yes, but it's two different, it's classified two differently.
The thing is, we had that situation a couple of tournaments ago, for example, in Qatar with Ms. Boha. She got 3 conduct warnings for 3 completely different violations, so to speak. One was time wasting, the other one was, doesn't really matter. And we've discussed it afterwards, and the mere fact of there being 3 conduct warnings means that the player is doing something wrong. And that the whole attitude is simply not acceptable. So I think that the directive is going to follow quite soon, that after a second conduct warning there should be a conduct stroke, regardless of the category. Because the whole package, so to speak, is not right.
Got it. It's going to come as a directive. As on date, mind turning, just keep it blank. As on date, this is the one that's going to be changing, which you're working on. It will be there. So just as on date, these are the conditions. So read the rules, read the directives for the latest.
Anybody else?
Is there a limit to the number of contact warnings in the game?
The number of contact warnings.
Well, for the same offense, you're only going to get one conduct warning, because conduct warning is just an official way of asking the player to stop doing what they're doing.
So, as I said, but for everybody else, so the conduct warning is just an official, polite way of asking the player to stop doing what they're doing. If they're late on court and they get a conduct warning, giving them another conduct warning for the same thing makes no sense. It should be a conduct stroke. But there can be multiple conduct strokes. In theory, there can be multiple conduct warnings for the same thing as well. But the referee doesn't really want to do that because it makes no sense. But you can repeat the same penalty more times, but you cannot go to a lesser penalty for the same offense. Meaning, you can keep on giving conduct strokes for later on court, end up giving in the conduct game, but you cannot go down to conduct warning after. Does that at least roughly answer the question? Thank you. Okay. If there's no more questions, all that remains on my end is that I welcome everybody to check the WSO website, log in, create a profile, and follow the changes that are happening in modern day refereeing. Most of you are going to have to take the players course on WSO anyway, hopefully, because that's going to help you and the refs and the coaches and everybody, because you'll be familiar with the way you should be playing squash and not get in trouble with the refs at the end of the day. Srikanth, anything to add?
You need to register yourself. Like registering in the WSO is, it doesn't cost you. Getting a player certification will be a cost. And I think it's $15 or something per annum, which is not a big sum. But you need to do that for your improvement. It's for your improvement because you get to know the latest. And when you see a PSA match in correlation with the directives and other things which you have read in the WSO, you'll be enjoying the match more. As a player, it will improve your way of thinking and line of thinking, and which will be nice to see. The squash on court will be brilliant and beautiful when you do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming. I hope you heard something useful. And have a nice evening, everybody.